Okay, so we often think of autumn as harvest time, abundance, relief,
Yeah.
you know, celebrating the yield.
Right. That's the typical image. But the material we're looking at today, this really personal account of rural poverty, it paints, well, a starkly different picture, almost haunting.
Haunting is a good word.
Yeah.
For the author here, autumn isn't relief at all. It arrives like a ghost.
Exactly. You have this beautiful scene, sunlight, the smell of grain drying, but it's soaked in scarcity. Hunger isn't just a concept here, it's described as a real presence.
Or that line, the silence between two bites. Wow, it just captures this deep survival anxiety, doesn't it?
It really does.
So our mission today really is to get inside this paradox. How does this season of supposed abundance turn into relentless debt and hardship for the very people doing the work?
And what did that kind of sustained scarcity teach this community? About dignity, about sticking together.
Yeah, because the author argues something quite powerful,
Yeah.
that the hardest time wasn't necessarily a later famine, but the period right after the harvest.
That's the moment the reality hits. The financial reality, the social reality. It's crushing.
Okay, let's start right there then, with what the text calls the deception of the golden field. You've got this, like, perfect image, right?
Absolutely. Clean blue skies, the air thick with the smell of grain drying on mats, kids running around, the elders talking, hopefully about a good yield.
Visually, it's everything you'd associate with security, with plenty.
It's the ultimate promise. But that promise fades incredibly fast. The harvest isn't the end goal achieved. It's more like the starting pistol for the reckoning.
Reckoning, you mean the arrival of the moneylenders.
And the source describes them so vividly. Their crisp, white shirts, such a contrast to the farmers' dusty clothes and their ledgers. Those
It's
ledgers.
described as crackling like dry leaves. That sound itself suggests brittleness, something about to break.
And notice the power shift. The farmers who literally created this wealth with their bare hands have to be deferential, polite to these lenders whose power is just numbers on a page.
They're carrying the weight of the whole year, physically and emotionally, and then face this immediate, almost certain loss.
Yeah.
Which brings us to this concept, the quiet arithmetic of poverty. The text makes it plain. The debt was always more than the harvest. Always.
No matter how much grain was stacked on the floor, it seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh.
So what was it? How did the system basically guarantee they'd never catch up?
Well, it's baked into the structure of the loans. You have the interest rate, sure, but also remember, they borrowed before the harvest just to survive. For food, medicine, basic needs during the lean months.
Ah, okay. So by the time the harvest actually comes in.
The interest is piled up. The lender essentially has first claim on almost everything. It's pre-claimed wealth.
So even a good harvest, once the lender's paid, and maybe they sell a bit for absolute basic salt, some cloth, maybe a school fee for one child.
The granaries are bare again, sometimes literally overnight.
That's the quiet arithmetic then. The math is rigged so the hardest workers eat last, or maybe don't even eat what they grew.
Exactly. The relief of the harvest, it vanishes instantly, turns right back into scarcity.
It's just a devastating cycle. Okay, so if the harvest disappears like that, how on earth did people survive when the plenty was already gone?
Right. This is where the ingenuity comes in. They had to pivot from the field to the forest.
The forest became their second kitchen.
That's the phrase the author uses. And the food wasn't grand. It was humble stuff, often bitter. Boiled bananas, tapioca roots, wild yams they dug out of the mud. Survival food.
And there's that one really specific, powerful example in the text, this bitter root, Dwaisibai. It sounds like just eating it was a huge effort.
Oh, it was. It grew deep in clay soil, hard to dig up, and it was poisonous if you didn't prepare it exactly right.
Poisonous.
Highly toxic. And the preparation, this is where the author notes, hunger teaches you the patience of preparation.
Okay, so what did that involve? What kind of patience?
Well, first, the hard work of digging it up, then peeling it carefully, then soaking it, repeatedly, for days, to leach out the toxins.
Days, just soaking.
Yeah, exactly. Only after all that could they roast it in ashes to make it safe to eat. You absolutely couldn't rush it. It wasn't just work. It was like this intense focus, respecting the danger in your food source.
Wow. The knowledge needed for that. I mean, the community, especially the women and children, must have been experts on everything growing around them.
Absolutely. This constant scarcity, it forced this hyper-awareness of their environment. Every edible leaf, every root, knowing which were deadly, which could heal.
They learned to spot tiny things.
Yeah.
Like a hidden guava or new bamboo shoots.
Things we'd walk right past. Our abundance lets us ignore our surroundings. Their scarcity demanded total attention, constant attention.
That resilience is incredible, but we have to circle back to the harsh reality that sent them into the forest. The market, the debts, the emotional toll.
Yeah, the auto markets. Described as noisy, colorful, but deceptive. Farmers arriving with, quote, their year's hope on bullock carts.
That phrase, year's hope, it carries so much weight. It wasn't just grain, it was everything.
And you can just picture it, right? The father pouring out the golden patty, his year's labor, into the merchant's sacks, watching it go.
And getting back just a slip of paper.
Yeah.
That flimsy paper holding his family's entire future for the next few months.
And then the return home, the silence. The author writes that the mother knew. She knew the outcome just by how light the cart was, by her husband's silence. No words needed.
That quiet devastation.
It's profound, and the father's thought later that night. Even in the season of plenty, our plates stay half empty, realizing their work would just never be enough for security.
This wasn't just a bad year. It was the system itself.
And that constant debt pressure, it led to even darker things. Losing land, livestock, that was common. But sometimes.
The human cost, the text mentions this too.
Yeah. Tragic choices. Parents sending children away as bonded laborers, sometimes for years, just to pay off a small part of the debt.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Or women leaving the village, heading to towns for any kind of work because the farm just couldn't support them anymore. Sometimes they never came back.
And that anecdote about the old man having to give up his bowl.
That one really sticks with you. The description of his hands trembling as he unties the rope from the bull. This animal, his companion in the fields for decades.
And his words.
So simple, but crushing. This bull was my friend, but debts eat friendship too. It shows how this economic pressure just fractured everything, even deep personal bonds. The emotional scars ran deep.
It's hard to imagine how their spirit didn't just completely break under all that.
Mhm.
So what did it forge? How did they hold on to dignity?
Well, that's where the generosity comes in. It's almost like a form of resistance.
I'll say.
Life didn't stop. The source describes how festivals like Karibihu, a local harvest festival, still happen. They'd light little earthen lamps, prayers for the next year.
Even with hunger, literally standing there with them, the text says it was quietly in the shadows watching them celebrate.
Exactly. So hunger didn't kill their spirit. In a way, it kind of refined it. Giving, sharing became essential, a refusal to be defined only by lack.
It taught empathy, maybe.
Oh.
Because everyone knew that gnawing feeling.
Precisely. That shared experience created this incredibly strong community ethic, and the elders had the saying, it really sums it up.
What was it?
A full stomach forgets the hungry, but an empty stomach remembers forever.
Well, okay. That flips the script, doesn't it? Scarcity becomes a moral teacher. Abundance is almost a risk.
It implies that, yeah, their shared emptiness wasn't just hardship, it was a kind of pact. A pact of compassion.
Well-
Giving wasn't charity. It was like this defiant act of being human together.
Like the story of Lakimi Aida, the old widow.
Oh, yes. She was among the poorest, just 2 hens, a tiny bit of land. But she had this tradition.
She made rice gruel, right, for the neediest children.
Every year, even with so little herself. And her reason. She'd say, if the gods are watching, let them see that we share.
That's just extraordinary grace. It really makes you think about what abundance truly means. Maybe it's not about how much you have.
Exactly. Which brings us to the present day, right? What does this deep memory of scarcity mean for us now, surrounded by, well, what seems like overwhelming abundance?
Yeah, the author reflects on that disconnect, sees the glittering supermarkets, the refrigerators always full, the endless choices.
And feels, despite all that, a strange emptiness. The physical hunger is gone, sure, but it's replaced by something else.
He calls it a hunger of disconnection. What does that look like? If the physical need is met, what's this other hunger?
It seemed to be about the loss of context, of gratitude. Back then, there was dignity in the hard labor, a real connection in sharing the little they had.
Whereas today,
We eat without knowing where our food comes from, who grew it. We buy things without really thinking about the effort behind them. We waste food without shame. The author sees this as a kind of moral erosion.
it's the difference between eating that bowl of gruel, maybe remembering the days it took to prepare the dwaisavai root.
Compared to grabbing a prepackaged meal without a second thought.
The contrast is stark. Granaries filled, but hearts half empty.
And the author concludes that true abundance, the real feeling of it, was watching his mother divide that meager food equally, making sure everyone got a share. That commitment, that equality was the lesson, not the size of the harvest.
So the takeaway is pretty clear. Hunger, as brutal as it was, became their greatest teacher. It taught the value of every single grain, the need for incredible patience, and this deep, powerful compassion.
Their survival was, as he puts it, a kind of poetry, written in hardship.
And that ancestral hunger the author feels now, it's not for food.
No, it's for meaning, for that connection forged in shared struggle. His quiet ritual now, lighting a lamp, it's about remembering the grace they managed despite everything. That memory serves as an ethical compass, one we might easily lose touch with in comfortable times.
It really makes you think, if sharing from an empty plate is the truest definition of abundance, what do we risk losing as individuals, as a society, when we only share from our overflow, when it costs us nothing?